Hello, my name is Alan Davila. My presentation is called Ascorbic Acid and Iron Dietary Intervention to Improve Iron Levels in Young Women. Original researchers are Dominika Skolmowska and Dominika Glabska, two Polish researcher women who did a great job at conducting this study and giving a detailed commentary on its effects or the main effects of problems like low iron, anemia, stuff that I'm going to be discussing in this presentation. First, the problem that we are discussing today, anemia. It is labeled as the most frequent hematological disorder. It's a serious global health issue, particularly affecting vulnerable groups such as young women and children. It can lead to fatigue, weakness, impaired cognitive function, and significantly reducing quality of life and productivity for affected groups. If left untreated, anemia can cause significant long-term health complications as well, including developmental delays in children and just general increased risks during pregnancy. Um, that's the group that we're going to be talking about today. Addressing anemia through proper nutrition and interventions is essential for improving overall health and well-being. Here I have a brief definition for anemia, a blood disorder dealing with a lack of or unhealthy red blood cells. A lack of hemoglobin is also cause for anemia. Hemoglobin being the protein responsible for carrying oxygen in the bloodstream. The World Health Organization also estimates that anemia affects more than 2 billion people worldwide. I'll do my next. We're going to be talking about two key components from the study today being iron and ascorbic acid, otherwise known as vitamin C. I'm going to be referring to it as ascorbic acid for most of my presentation, just so you know. So first off, iron plays a critical role in hemoglobin production and red blood cell formation by being a key component of hemoglobin. The proteins in red blood cells that bind to oxygen and carries it through the body. It's what we've been studying in nutrition at this point too. In the bone marrow, iron is incorporated into hemoglobin during the production of red blood cells, and without sufficient iron, body just can't produce enough healthy hemoglobin, leading to fewer or underdeveloped red blood cells, which results in reduced oxygen carrying capacity and anemia. Ascorbic acid, vitamin C, enhances iron absorption. It does this by converting non-heme iron, or non-heme being the type found in plant-based foods, into a more absorbable form in the intestines. This increased bioavailability allows for more efficient uptake of iron into the bloodstream. And additionally, it supports hemoglobin production by aiding in the incorporation of iron into red blood cells, ensuring that enough oxygen-carrying hemoglobin is produced to maintain kind of that healthy blood function and prevent anemia. So this study is going to deal with dietary supplementation or dietary intervention, specifically iron fortified oats, um, like cereal, iron fortified oats during breakfast time, and I'll get more into why it's important that they're being separated from breakfast and afternoon. Um, just placeholder information here, the 7.1 milligrams of iron, 18.5 grams of ascorbic acid per serving of the oats. And then in the afternoon, participants of the study are given orange juice with 31 milligrams of ascorbic acid per the 200 milliliter serving. So now for the big question that the study aims to deal with and to answer. Will ascorbic acid and iron administered separately still produce collective benefits? It's important to note that most studies that the researchers themselves had looked into before conducting their own research, those studies that they found focus on improving their iron status through iron and vitamin C rich products typically administered together in the supplementation, like in a single meal. And to their knowledge, their study was the first to separate the administration. So it was going to be kind of a new thing for them to experiment whether it'll still produce the same collective benefits if one is administered in the morning versus in the evening. Not everyone has time to make a full balanced meal that can provide both at the same time, especially if you're in a rush, you go to work or school. So it's going to be kind of like a whole, does this still work? Is it still worth it to do all this, even if it's not at the same time, right? So that's the big question that they're trying to answer. Just a general overview of the study itself. 29 women ages 21 to 29. The length of the study was 8 weeks for the intervention. And the supplementation that we already talked about, 50 grams iron fortified oats, oat flakes, and the 200 milliliters of the orange juice taken daily at different times. So now the practicality of this dietary intervention. It actually is really practical, especially in Poland, where this research was um, kind of brought on, done in the first place. Um, Iron fortified cereal. Cereal is commonly consumed in Poland, as said in the study. Although iron fortification in foods in Poland is infrequent, cereals are one of the main sources of fortified iron. And one of the previous studies that they mentioned found that 28% of the total iron intake in the diets of young women came from cereals. So it's pretty practical in that sense too. When it comes to orange juice, it's a great source for ascorbic acid. It's an enhancer of the non-heme iron absorption, less fiber than an actual orange, which is important since fiber reduces iron absorption, which is the whole thing that we're trying to promote, not non-promote. And the serving size used in this study aligns with Polish recommendations, allowing for a single serving of fruit to come from this serving of orange juice. So you're getting a serving of fruit as well. Makes it a great option for a lot of people. Okay, a couple of kind of not housekeeping things, but um, so women of reproductive age are more susceptible to anemia than men due to increased iron needs, primarily caused by regular menstrual blood loss. Therefore, ensuring adequate iron intake in daily meals and enhancing the absorption of non-heme iron is crucial for this group. And the way that these researcher women kind of accounted for that while the 8 week period was taking place was they used actually this pictogram that they gave the participants to kind of judge their own kind of blood loss and report it back to the researchers so that they could incorporate it into their own individual results. Um, and the iron status itself is based on, or in their body, or in the participant's body, was based on red blood cell count, hemoglobin levels, hematocrit levels, and the iron or ferritin levels. So, out of the red blood cell count, hemoglobin levels, hematocrit levels, and ferritin levels, only hematocrit and ferritin were affected by this intervention. Um, Ferritin levels were significantly lower than baseline at 4 weeks, which is kind of the opposite of what they were looking for. They're looking to increase iron levels, not bring them down. So that was kind of a weird thing to find at the 4 week mark. And in 8 weeks, hematocrit levels were significantly increased due to the baseline as well as ferritin levels. So it kind of did like a big dip and then a spike in the span of those same 4 weeks. Yeah. A shorter intervention period seems like it might not only be ineffective, but it could also reduce iron status, um, which the researchers themselves, it was kind of funny, their commentary they were not expecting, but those are the results they get, and you got to deal with the results you get. Since the participants in the study were non-anemic, all of them, one possible explanation for the drop in ferritin levels after 4 weeks is that the participants were initially vitamin C deficient, is what they say. After 8 weeks, as their vitamin C or ascorbic acid status improved, ferritin levels also increased accordingly. And so it can be also hypothesized that ascorbic acid, even when taken separately from iron-rich foods, helps mobilize iron from storage sites and enhances iron status. Furthermore, it's observed that ascorbic acid may increase the proportion of red blood cells with normal hemoglobin content. In women with lower vitamin C intake, the total amount of ascorbic acid may be a more significant factor in improving iron status than of the timing itself of iron and ascorbic acid consumption. So not necessarily the timing of like daytime, nighttime, or breakfast, dinner, but rather the levels of vitamin C that you were at when you start the actual dietary supplementation. That original baseline could end up being more important. Well, I guess this is kind of what I was talking about. The participants who began the study with lower baseline levels of ascorbic acid, they experienced a more significant improvement in iron absorption after the supplementation began. This could be, the researchers kind of state that it could be because individuals with lower initial ascorbic acid levels may have had a greater potential for improvement as their bodies are kind of like more responsive to the enhanced bioavailability of iron that the ascorbic acid provides, that increased bioavailability. Since ascorbic acid plays a critical role in converting non-heme iron into a more absorbable form, those with lower ascorbic acid levels might have experienced a more noticeable boost in that iron absorption once ascorbic acid was introduced into their diet, like with that supplementation, helping to compensate for their initial deficiency. Um, this finding suggests that individuals with lower ascorbic acid intake could benefit more from targeted interventions aimed at improving iron absorption, potentially leading to better outcomes in preventing or treating iron deficiency in anemia. Let me see here. So, was the study successful? The big question. I personally, and so do the researchers, say yes. Accurately shows that supplementation of ascorbic acid and iron over a period of time, even at different times of day, can help women maintain or recover normal iron levels. So I would say that's a success for at least showing us that. However, I do think that there are limitations to the study that could be improved for the future, specifically the sample size, relatively small, 29 women, um, need more, just need more. Great, great base study to go off of, but definitely need more for the future. Biological variability or lack thereof can't always control biological factors. Um, just more controls in place for the future. And also the length of time of the study. In and of itself, 8 weeks, I believe to not be enough time to fully establish like long-term effects of like dietary supplementation in that sense. So potentially more short-term studies like this as long as long-term studies to really cement that point home and really have some concrete data that you can make into a series of journal entries, articles about the topic. And I say here, need for more intervention studies with more control periods or more controls and tighter restrictions for longer periods of time. References here. Thank you so much for listening and for your patience with my stuttering. And yeah, that should be it. Thank you very much.